Alright guys, we're going to start part 2 of the Super Cub build. We got our Super Cub in the background there. We already did the wing in part 1. Now I just went ahead and cut off the two sides of the fuselage off the plans. And I got the bottom of the fuselage here. And we'll go ahead and start with the bottom. You'll see I got score lines. See, there's 1, 2, 3, 3 score lines there, so I'll start with those first. And again, you just want to score it, don't cut all the way through. I'll just go ahead and straight cut out the whole bottom of the fuselage. On part 3 and 4, I'll go ahead and paint this one. I'll show you guys how I paint them. Alright, so there we got our bottom of our fuselage all cut out. And the lines that you guys scored, you guys can just go ahead and score them until they crack here. Alright, there's our bottom. Move this stuff off to the side. There's our wing mount. I'll go ahead and cut out the two sides of the fuselage, and what you want to do is go ahead and score the lines first. And jump on that right now. Now all this is just straight cuts. The only pieces that aren't are the top of the fuselage here. I'm just going to go ahead and freehand that. It's got a little radius in it. Then on the top of the fuselage, you'll see where your wing mounts, and it has the airfoil shape at the nose of it here. Now we'll go ahead and make our straight cuts. Oh, I can get a piece of tape on there. Where's my tape? Alright, we got one side of our fuselage cut out. We got our score lines, 2 of them. Let's get this other half. And again, at the top of the fuselage, I'm just going to freehand it because it's got a radius in it. We'll just go ahead and straight cut the rest. Alright. A little piece of this there. Alright, so we can throw all our scrap off to the side. Alright, so we got our 2 sides of our fuselage. We got our score lines facing us. Same with the bottom of the fuselage. I'm going to go ahead and take an ink pen again. You can use any ink pen you want and just open up these score lines a little. Just run it down through them. That way our foam will be able to bend up on our plane. For the front here, you want that score line to be open a little more, so you can go ahead and 45, cut a piece into it. also. That's going to have to bend up pretty far. I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'll just freehand this stuff. Just cutting a V-notch out of the top. There we go, and that's going to wrap up around the bottom of our fuselage. Alright, go ahead and do the same thing with the sides of your fuselage. Go ahead and run your ink pen down through the score lines. That way it'll fold in on itself. There we got both our sides. Alright, now what I like to do with connecting these pieces, just line up your 3 score lines here. Make sure it all looks good and even. And the score line right here is going to line up with where your turn is. Alright, I'll just go ahead and connect them with a couple little pieces of tape just to hold them in place. Alright, now when you fold these down, you're going to want to be on the outside of this piece, not on top of it. So I just go ahead and stand them up, push it down. Go ahead and do the same thing the other side. You already got your 2 pieces of tape, so you just stand it up and push it down. Just like so. Alright, so we'll be able to hot glue this now that we know where it is. And you can use your wing mount. So when you stand these 2 pieces up, just put them up flush against your wing mount to make sure your fuselage is nice and even and straight. I'm going to go ahead and run a couple beads of glue down each side. Go ahead, stand them up. Make sure they're nice and tight. And like I said, you can just stick your wing mount in here just to give you an idea where you're at. Which I'm liking that. Make sure your fuselage is nice and straight. Standing nice and straight off the ground. There we got our bottom, our sides. Now we can go ahead and hot glue the rest. Just line it up real nice, you guys. Wipe off any excess glue. Go ahead and hit this other side. So that shit looks all nice and straight. Stands nice and straight. Now if you guys want, after you just get all them two pieces hot glued onto the bottom of the fuselage, you can go back and hit these cracks if you want, where we scored it, just to strengthen it up from the inside. So again, I'm just hitting inside the score lines with some hot glue. I usually fill all the score lines. And we can go ahead and tuck this piece up too. Just get a little bit of glue in there. Go ahead and fill that score line with some hot glue. Push it up in there. Trying to take my time and rush at the same time, but I'm going to be making a J3 cub out of this one. Alright, now you guys can go back and hit where we connected the pieces, two side pieces to the bottom of the fuselage. Go ahead and hit on the inside. And it don't have to be much, guys, just in certain areas, just to make sure they're connected nice. There's also a little trick where you can just let it fall down in there. Just want to make sure my tail's nice and strong. So the score lines were on the inside of your plane. All the score lines are on the inside of the fuselage. And those are what we opened up with the pin, so that our fuselage would bend where we wanted it. I'm going to go ahead and trim up this back nice and even. Alright, so there's our fuselage. Of course, your wing. Alright, we'll move into cutting out some of these other pieces. Now your wing mount, once we get further into this, we're going to put our wing mount the bottom of our wing. Of course, it'll mount on there like that. We'll get into some of these other pieces to cut out. Here we got the top of the cowl, which is here. The windshield. Put it in there. Got our tail still, the front of the cowl, and this little piece here where it says bottom of the cowl, that's going to go on over this piece. That'll be our finish piece that we'll put on over that, and it'll add some strength to the front of the plane, but we'll get to that later on. Alright, we got our tail that elevator we cut out of the plans. So I'm just going to go ahead and straight cut. These are all straight cut pieces. Any trimming we'll go back and trim up once we glue them all on. So I'm going to go ahead and tape these down on my next sheet of foam board, cut out all these pieces, just straight cut them, the tail, and then we'll move on to part 3 and assemble the rest of them on there. Over and out. And again, you just want to score it, don't cut all the way through. I'll just go ahead and straight cut out the whole bottom of the fuselage. On part 3 and 4, I'll go ahead and paint this one. I'll show you guys how I paint them. Alright, so there we got our bottom of our fuselage all cut out. And the lines that you guys scored, you guys can just go ahead and score them until they crack here. Alright, there's our bottom. Move this stuff off to the side. There's our wing mount. I'll go ahead and cut out the 2 sides of the fuselage, and what you want to do is go ahead and score the lines first. And jump on that right now. Alright guys, we're going to start part 2 of the Super Cub build. We got our Super Cub in the background there. We already did the wing in part 1. Now I just went ahead and cut off the 2 sides of the fuselage off the plans. And I got the bottom of the fuselage here. And we'll go ahead and start with the bottom. You'll see I got score lines. See, there's 1, 2, 3 score lines there, so I'll start with those first.